Chapter 61, Which Tigress Has Such an Easy Time Raising Cubs? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Plop. Seeing the clear flowing river water, the tiger mother did not rush to eat, but excitedly jumped into the water to cool down. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. As time goes by, the weather is getting hotter and hotter, and during this period of time, we have been migrating, and there is little water. If there is, it is just a trickle, and we can't take a bath. Tigers are also very clean big cats. They lick their fur when they have nothing to do, and make themselves clean and beautiful. In addition, tigers do not have sweat glands like humans, which can expel heat from the body through sweating. It is precisely because of this that the tiger's endurance is so poor. A good heat dissipation system is the source of endurance. Otherwise, if the amount of exercise is large, the accumulated heat in the body cannot be discharged, which will naturally affect the operation of various functions in the body, and endurance will be poor. This is why tigers are afraid of heat but not cold. Therefore, cool river water is a very favored environment for tigers, and it is also an important consideration for many tigers to choose their habitat. This is not only a stable water source, but also the key to survive the hot summer. Seeing this, Cang Nian was also somewhat tempted, and jumped into the river with a splash. The cool river water washed the hair, taking away the dust and parasites in the hair, and at the same time taking away the accumulated heat that was gnawing at the heart and lungs, and Cang Nian felt very refreshed. However, the width of this river is not low, and the depth is not small. It should be 3 or 4 meters deep. The sunlight sparkles under the shaking of the river, which is quite pleasing to the eye. In addition, since there is a rapid waterfall a few hundred meters upstream, the overall trend of the river is also tilted downward, so the river water is not as gentle as the wide river Cam before, but quite rapid. Cang Nian had just been in the water for 2.5 minutes, floating on the water with his limbs motionless, and was carried downstream by the rapids for 100 meters. Ding. Paddling 10m. Paddling skill proficiency +1. 23/100, listening to the system prompts in his mind, Cang Nian suddenly had an idea. Hey! I don't need to swim, just being carried by the current to move 100 meters, can it be counted as proficiency? Then why can't I count as running skill proficiency when I'm sitting in the car? Forget it. In this way, can't I rely on this river, from upstream to downstream, brush the proficiency of paddling skill faster? Then I go ashore, run from bottom to top on the grass, and accumulate proficiency of running skill by the way. This way, no time is wasted, and the efficiency of brushing proficiency of 2 skills together must be very high. That the more Cang Nian thought about it, the more excited he became. He simply turned around on the water surface, facing downstream, and swung his limbs under the water. Because he was paddling along the water, it was like running with the wind on the ground. His speed was so fast. Ding! 10m paddling skill proficiency +1. 100/100. Ding. Congratulations to the host, the paddling skill proficiency has reached the maximum value, and the skill has evolved into swimming. In less than 5 minutes, Cang Nian completed the accumulation of paddling skill proficiency and evolved it to the next stage. With the evolution of skills, Cang Nian felt that his limbs became more powerful. Although the magnitude was not large, it was still a real improvement. Seeing that he was already several hundred meters away from Tiger Dad and Tiger Mom, Cang Nian hurriedly approached the shore, stood up to shake off the water droplets, and then ran to the vicinity of Tiger Mom with a swish. At this time, Tiger Brother was squatting on the shore under the scorching sun, carefully testing the river water with his front paws. It also wanted to jump into the water to take a bath, but such a fast current made it a little daunting. Moreover, this is much wider than the stream at the door of the original house. Through the clear river water, it can see the depth of this river, which is deeper than Tiger Dad's tail stretched out. Seeing this, Cang Nian ran behind Tiger Brother, raised his paw and slapped it suddenly. Ding! Tier 1, tier skill proficiency +1. 666/10,000. Plop. Then, Tiger Brother screamed in fear and fell down. Cang Nian was not idle either, and also jumped into the water to help Tiger Brother watch. although Tiger Brother's body size is still stable and one circle larger than him, Cang Nian's current strength is no longer the same as before. After paddling evolved into swimming, it is still no problem to ensure that Tiger Brother will not be in danger while swimming. The tiger's natural water ability prevented Tiger Brother from sinking, but he was rushed downstream by the rapids, which made him quite panicked. Fearing that he would be washed away, Tiger Brother hurriedly swung his limbs frantically underwater. Fortunately, he had a good sense of balance now, and he did not fall over by swinging his limbs randomly, otherwise he would have choked a lot of water into his stomach. Seeing this, Cang Nian accelerated to catch up with Tiger Brother, who was drifting downstream, and walked side by side with him. Then, Cang Nian roared and asked Tiger Brother to watch his movements. Although Tiger Brother was still afraid, because his brother was with him, his anxiety was mostly gone, and he reflexively focused his attention on Cang Nian. This was the result of Cang Nian's constant training of Tiger Brother since he opened his eyes. After more than 20 days of such regular interactions, Tiger Brother understood that if he didn't listen to his brother, he would be beaten. So, even though he was uneasy, Tiger Brother still did as he was told. Seeing Tiger Brother obediently obeying the order, Cang Nian's head faced upstream, and his limbs under the water moved regularly, very slowly, so that Tiger Brother could see clearly. Even though Cang Nian paddled his limbs very slowly, his correct posture still gave him the power to resist the water flow, making his head, which was originally level with Tiger Brother, suddenly several positions ahead. So, Cang Nian turned around again, returned to Brother Tiger, and once again stood level with him in the same direction, repeating the action just now. After repeating this several times, Brother who finally grasped the key, Brother Tiger tentatively imitated the steps of the old man's limbs paddling underwater. Then, its body, which kept drifting downstream, actually surpassed Cang Nian by 2 bodies. With the effect, Brother Tiger became more confident and boldly increased the speed of paddling his limbs. Soon, Tiger Brother mastered the technique of paddling, and his body no longer drifted downstream with the current, but remained relatively still with the plants on the shore. Seeing this, Brother Who became excited. It turns out that the movement of running on the ground is used in the water. Immediately, Tiger Brother moved his limbs harder, so the surrounding scenery slowly receded in his field of vision, and the distance between his body and the waterfall in front was getting closer. I have learned it. Seeing this, Cang Nian nodded with satisfaction. Summer is coming. How can you do it if you don't know how to swim? In the wild, unlike human rooms with air conditioning, it is necessary to take a bath to get through the heat. Fortunately, Brother Tiger is just a little afraid of things he has never seen before. After a few more exposures, he will be able to overcome his fear. On the upper reaches of the river, the tiger mother was taking a bath comfortably, looking at the scene of Cang Nian teaching the Tiger Brother to swim, with an ant smile on her face. Whose tigress can raise cubs so easily? One Zai learned it on his own without needing to be taught, and after he learned it, he taught another Zai. The cub I gave birth to is so worry-free and cute. Chapter 62 The Discovery of the Little Sable. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Squeak. When the family of 4 finished bathing, eating, and taking a rest under the shade of the tree, the squeak of the little sable came from above. Cang Nian looked up and saw that the little sable was very excited and asked him to climb the tree. Cang Nian was quite puzzled about this, but thought that the little sable had nothing important to do and should not disturb him, so he climbed up the tree with a bang. This is a very thick and tall pine tree, which is larger than the pine trees Cang Nian has seen before. In the previous habitat, the tallest pine tree was only over 30 meters. Even after migrating hundreds of kilometers, Cang Nian has not seen a tree bigger than this pine tree. According to his visual results, this pine tree is definitely more than 50 meters, because the tree canopy is wide, the branches are lush, and there is a waterfall next to it that brings cool water vapor. So the tiger parents chose this place to rest, following the little sable all the way up, until it was almost at the top of the tree. The little guy stopped and then pointed his claws at a huge tumor. Seeing this, Cang Nian took a closer look and found that it was a pine cone on a pine tree, but this pine cone was surprisingly large, and it was probably heavier than itself. Just when he thought that the little sable had nothing to do, a pine cone also called him, but when he saw the huge size of this pine cone, Cang Nian realized that things were not simple. Squeak. Seeing that Cang Nian had finished looking at the pine cone, the little Sable squeaked and explained. The little Sable is saying that this pine cone is not ordinary, it feels very tempting, it feels that eating it will have great benefits, but it is not yet ripe. After understanding what the little Sable meant, Cang Nian became thoughtful. Since animals can evolve, it is impossible that plants cannot evolve. The height of this pine tree is far beyond the limit of ordinary pine trees, so it can almost be concluded that it is also an evolving creature. Then will the fruit it bears have special effects? For example, accelerated evolution. The little Sable is sensitive to its special effects because it eats pine nuts. I just don't know what changes will happen to plants after evolution. Will they just grow taller? Cang Nian pondered secretly. Thinking of this, Cang Nian reached out to the extremely large pine cone with his claws, pretending to destroy it. Squeak. However, the pine tree did not change at all because of this. Instead, the little Sable was startled and ran to the pine cone, begging Cang Nian not to destroy it. No. There is something wrong with this idea. For pine trees, pine cones are just swaddling clothes to wrap the seeds of their offspring, and plants probably don't have the concept of protecting their offspring at all. It's really stupid for me to threaten the pine tree with pine cones to expose whether it can move. Seeing this, Cang Nian immediately denied his own method of testing. It is necessary to threaten the existence of the pine tree itself before it can force it to take action. If it can take action, but judging from the excellent ecological environment in this area, even if this pine tree can move and attack, it should be a relatively docile individual. Then, Cang Nian speculated based on the information around him. This is easy to judge. There are large-scale herbivorous animal groups in this area, and the ecology is intact and rich. In this case, the pine tree is likely not to move, or it will not attack animals passing by nearby. After all, if it really attacks, those social animals will definitely notice it and run away in fear, causing the number of prey that can be hunted here to decrease sharply. As for continuing to test, Cang Nian feels that it is unnecessary. Of course, there is another reason, that is, he couldn't test it even if he wanted to. If he wanted to test whether this huge pine tree could move, he would have to threaten its life. To kill a giant tree that is 50 meters high and more than 1 meter in diameter, no other creature can do it except humans. Thinking of this, Cang Nian called out to the little Sable, guard this pine cone. Squeak. Hearing this, the little Sable, who was very uneasy just now and was afraid that Cang Nian would destroy the pine cone, was suddenly very happy and nodded quickly, promising that he would take good care of this pine cone. Squeak. Then, the little Sable added another sentence, if another guy wants to grab the pine cone and he can't beat him, he will definitely report it to the king. In this regard, Cang Nian naturally nodded and agreed. Since this pine tree with a high probability of evolution will not be harmful to his family, he can stay at ease. As for the pine cone, the little Sable said that eating it would be good. When it matures, I will definitely give it to Tiger Father, Tiger Mother, Tiger Brother, and little Sable to eat together. So what if tigers eat meat? If there is any benefit, eat some vegetarian food. Don't lose the tiger. If it is a good thing that can promote evolution, then it will be a big profit. Hey. No, the environment here is so good, why haven't we found any powerful predators? According to the roar of Tiger Father before, if this is the territory of an adult male tiger, he should think that there is an invasion by outsiders. Even if you are timid, you should come and observe from a distance, right? At this time, Cang Nian suddenly remembered a problem that he had overlooked before. This habitat is really excellent. Clean flowing water, large open space to provide good ventilation, abundant food sources, far away from human facilities. Even if you don't think as much as I do, it is an ideal habitat for all wild tigers. But in the end, there was no tiger here. This is unreasonable. So, Cang Nian hurried down the tree and searched carefully around. Such anomalies indicate a possible crisis and cannot be ignored. Got it. After searching for a long time, Cang Nian finally found a pile of small pieces next to a tree. Based on the shape and size, it can be determined that it is a tiger's feces. According to the proportion, it should be much smaller than the Tiger Father, and will not exceed 250 kilograms. However, this pile of feces has been here for a long time, so there is no smell, and the color is grayish-white. As if it will break into slag if touched, expanding the search range, Cang Nian found several more places where such feces are piled up, but similarly, they are also far away from now. Is it dead? There is no fresh feces suddenly. Cang Nian guessed. As for the possibility of leaving on his own initiative, Cang Nian directly ruled it out. Only if you are sick in the brain will you leave such a good habitat. Did he die of old age, or was it invaded by foreign tigers, so both sides suffered? Cang Nian continued to speculate, exploring farther areas, trying to find the bodies left by the tigers that had lived here before, but at this moment, a dazzling reflection made his eyes dazzle. Looking closer, he saw an anesthetic needle with a plastic tube that was already a little brittle, and the metal needle was shining in the sun. It seems that it was one of the victims of the wild animal slaughterhouse. Seeing this, Cang Nian was silent for a long time, a little sad. Chapter 63 The Kitten Wants to Eat Fish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Swish, swish, in the water flowing downward, Cang Nian paddled and splashed, rushing downstream. Ding! Swimming 1000 m, swimming skill proficiency +1. 100/100, ding. Congratulations to the host, the swimming skill proficiency has reached the maximum value, and the skill has evolved into swimming. As a system prompt sound came, Cang Nian felt that his limbs had become stronger again, and the increase was very obvious. This is the evolution of the swimming skill chain from the 3rd stage to the 4th stage. Not only is the progress bar long, but the increase after completion is also very fierce. However, because Cang Nian's running skill chain progressed so fast, it had a feedback effect on the accumulation of proficiency of other skills. Therefore, 1,000-meter swimming does not take much time for Cang Nian now. A few minutes is enough. It took only more than a day for Cang Nian to evolve the swimming skill to the swimming skill. When he got to the shore, Cang Nian did not waste time and ran towards the waterfall upstream. With the help of running water, Cang Nian is practicing his swimming skills while also training his running skills. However, the current level of proficiency in the running skill requires 100 kilometers, so it will take a long-term self-discipline to evolve this skill again. Evolving the swimming skill to swimming only takes 100 kilometers in total, which only adds one level of proficiency to the running skill, although it was discovered yesterday that this was originally the habitat of a tiger, and that tiger had been captured by poachers and was probably killed long ago. However, Cang Nian did not intend to give up this habitat with excellent conditions. After all, as long as you are still in Dragon Country, it is really difficult to have a place that is truly isolated from human society. Dragon Country has a large population and a wide range of activities, so you can only try your best to avoid it. The previous poacher team has been brought to justice through their own efforts. Judging from the traces of the last tiger's survival in this habitat, it has been at least a month since now. In this case, there is nothing to worry about. Let's not talk about whether those poachers can still remember the location after such a long time. The fact that the tigers here have been poached has reduced the possibility of poaching again. The main reason why Tiger Dad fled the original habitat with his family of tigers was that someone knew there were live tigers living there, so it could be coveted by someone at any time, but the original owner of this habitat has been successfully hunted. Under the inertial thinking, even if the poachers can come out again, they will not choose such a place where they have hunted before to find their targets. If you really want to run to a place where few people go, you can go all the way north to the territory of the Bear Country. There are vast areas and few people there, which is a good habitat for the Siberian tiger. However, Cang Nian does not think so. Although the laws of the Bear Country also protect tigers in their country, the crackdown on hunting is still not as strong as that of the Dragon Country. Moreover, in the Bear Country, it is really legal to carry guns. So, after thinking about it, it is better to stay in the Dragon Country. At least if you encounter poachers, you can only get tranquilizer guns, and it is easy to find official personnel to help. Oh! Just when Cang Nian ran to the waterfall, Tiger Brother shouted excitedly at him. When he looked up, he found that Tiger Brother had climbed onto the scattered boulders beside the waterfall. Did Tiger Brother find something interesting? So excited, Cang Nian muttered to himself, and then ran to Tiger Brother and stood on the same boulder with him. Ao ao ao. Tiger Brother continued to shout excitedly, and while shouting, He stretched out his claws and pointed at the splashing water under the waterfall. Cang Nian followed its claws and saw nothing at first, but after a few seconds, he saw a big, plump fish rushing into the river from the waterfall. The big fish was hit by the drop and felt a little dizzy. It floated like a corpse for a while, then swung its tail and sank to the bottom of the river downstream. Seeing this, Cang Nian turned to look at Hu Di, only to see his eyes shining, and his saliva was floating in the wind. No need to think, Hu Di wants to eat fish. The previous habitat was only a very shallow stream with a width of 7 or 8 meters, and there were no big fish in it. In addition, Hu Di could not move far before, and his vision was not fully developed, so he could not notice the small fish in the stream that were too sticky to eat, but it was different here. The fish just now was at least 3 kilograms. The most important thing was that Hu Di had never seen it or eaten it, so he was very curious. Looking at Hu Di, who was rarely interested in something, Cang Nian's eyes rolled, then he plunged into the water and swam hard to the area where the waterfall fell into the river. The water flow here was very turbulent. If he had not evolved to swimming skills, he might not be able to stay stable here. Not long after, a big fish with a white belly fell from the white waterfall, hit the water, and fainted for a short time. Seeing this, Cang Nian quickly swam over and caught the fish accurately while it was still unconscious. Wow wow wow! Just as Cang Nian was about to approach the shore, the fish had already woken up from its coma and instinctively flapped its tail, making it impossible for Cang Nian to catch it, but Cang Nian was quick-witted and slapped the fish's head accurately underwater, and then strands of bright red blood spread in the water. Ding! Kill a prey, killing skill proficiency +1. 89/100. So, Cang Nian caught the big fish again. This time, the big fish did not resist at all, because it had been slapped to death by Cang Nian. This is a good way to accumulate killing skills. After all, small prey in a fixed area is limited, but a flowing river will continuously send new big fish upstream. Hearing the system prompt sound in his mind, Cang Nian's eyes lit up. The fish in the river not only meet the requirements for completing the improvement of killing skill proficiency, but also have a large number. When this skill evolves again, there will be a stable channel to improve it. Thinking of this, Cang Nian is more satisfied with this new habitat. While thinking, Cang Nian took the big fish to the shore. Seeing this prey that he had never seen before, Tiger Brother couldn't wait to come over and stretched out his claws to eat it. Pa! But the next second, Cang Nian's slap fell on its face. Ding! Tear and scratch once. Tear and scratch skill proficiency +1. 777/10,000. Being hit by Cang Nian, Tiger Brother covered his face and cried out in grievance, extremely puzzled. Why don't you let me eat the prey that my brother hunted before? I would eat. But Cang Nian didn't fall for it, but raised his claws and pointed at the river. Want to eat? Catch it yourself. Chapter 64. Then catch it yourself. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing Cang Nian's order, Tiger Brother was even more confused. Wasn't his brother willing to share the prey before? Seeing this, Cang Nian felt that his idea was right. Tiger Brother is now too dependent on himself and Tiger Dad and Tiger Mom. Although strictly speaking, Tiger Brother is still a young tiger, there is nothing wrong with relying on his mother, but whether they will separate in the future or not, Tiger Brother had better be able to have independent abilities as soon as possible. In this way, Tiger Dad and Tiger Mom hunt prey for him to eat, and he also gives it prey to exercise his killing skills. This will make it develop bad habits and become a giant baby who opens his mouth to ask for things. To be honest, the term giant baby is appropriate for Tiger Brother. I don't know if it is because of his talent or because he has eaten too much evolved meat with nutrition far exceeding ordinary flesh and blood. Tiger Brother's current weight should be no less than 20 kilograms, this growth rate is just like eating Jean Cola. And Cang Nian himself is only about 10 kilograms now, far less than Tiger Brother. Therefore, we cannot look at Tiger Brother by the time of birth, but by its growth status. Therefore, Cang Nian simply ignored Tiger Brother's confusion, scraped off the scales on the big fish he had just caught with his claws, and began to lick it with his tongue. The tiger's tongue has barbs, which can be adjusted at will, and it is easy to shave the meat from the fish without getting stuck in the throat by the thin thorns in it. The light pink tender fish meat tastes slippery and elastic. It not only tastes good, but also has a unique taste. Don't say it, it really has a different flavor. No wonder cats like to eat fish, this raw fish tastes really good. On the side, watching Cang Nian eating fish happily, Tiger Brother was envious, and his saliva dripped into a small puddle on the boulder under the waterfall. However, no matter how much he wanted to eat, Tiger Brother did not dare to snatch food from Cang Nian's mouth, even though he was much larger than Cang Nian. Tiger Brother's fear of Cang Nian had been deepening since he opened his eyes. Moreover, Cang Nian's amazing athletic ability made Tiger Brother understand rationally that even if he did not consider Cang Nian's psychological suppression of him, he would never be his brother's opponent in terms of fighting power. I want to eat. Seeing Cang Nian eating more and more deliciously, Tiger Brother stamped his feet anxiously. Bang! At this time, the waterfall fell into the river with a large fish, and turned up its white belly. Seeing this, Tiger Brother could no longer bear it, and with a splash, he jumped into the river and swam towards the fish. That's right, if you want to eat fish, just catch it yourself. Seeing this scene, Cang Nian licked his lips and was quite relieved. However, it was a pity that Tiger Brother went a little late, and the fish had already woken up, and with Tiger Brother's mediocre swimming skills, he couldn't touch the fish in the water at all. The other party flicked its tail skillfully and disappeared. Ao ao ao. This made Tiger Brother furious, and he waved his 4 claws around in the water, raging helplessly, but the desire to eat fish made it not give up. After venting, it soaked in the water to prevent itself from being washed away by the rapids, and waited quietly. After a few minutes, another fish was washed down. Tiger Brother was quick-eyed and quick-handed, and swam over there. The advantage of its large size was shown here. Tiger Brother's swimming skills were not good, but he relied on brute force to get to the front of the waterfall and took the fish in his mouth before it woke up. However, it made the same mistake that Cang Nian had made before. Just as it was about to swim towards the shore, the fish in its mouth had already woken up, waving its tail extremely vigorously and struggling with all its strength. So, Tiger Brother, who failed to hold the fish firmly, suddenly loosened his mouth, and the fish in his mouth flipped and ran away again. Just now, Cang Nian's action of slapping the big fish to death was underwater. Because the water flow was too strong, Tiger Brother could not see it clearly, so he didn't think of slapping the fish to death at all. Bang! But at this moment, a tiger claw quickly crossed the river and accurately hit the fish that escaped from Tiger Brother's mouth. Ding! Kill a prey, killing skill proficiency +1. 90/100. The one who made the move was naturally Cang Nian. With just 1 claw, Cang Nian slapped the fish that escaped from Tiger Brother's mouth to death, and then turned over again and picked up the fish in the water. Ao. Seeing this scene, Tiger Brother was very happy. Brother is so powerful. However, Cang Nian swam towards the shore under his little fan-like eyes. Ignoring Tiger Brother's gradually dull eyes, Cang Nian skillfully removed the scales, and then began to lick the fish meat, eating it very deliciously. Ao. Seeing this, Tiger Brother cried out in grievance. That's my prey. Ao. In response to Tiger Brother's accusation, Cang Nian reluctantly stopped eating and cried out indifferently, only the prey can be eaten. If it escapes from the mouth, it is considered a hunting failure. Woo! After hearing Cang Nian's response, Tiger Brother could only whimper unwillingly, speechless. It knew that Cang Nian was right. It failed to bring the fish back to the shore and eat it, and let the fish escape, which was indeed a hunting failure, and the brother killed the fish that he failed to hunt, brought it to the shore, and was eating it, which was considered a hunting success. Tiger Brother, who was severely taught a lesson by Cang Nian, was wronged for a while, and then adjusted his mentality and waited patiently. After a while, another fish fell from the waterfall, and Tiger Brother attacked again and swam to the side of the fish. This time, it did not rashly grab the unconscious fish, but controlled its body, aimed at the fish's head, and slapped it with 1 claw. However, due to the refraction of light, Tiger Brother misjudged the position and missed with 1 claw. Seeing that the fish had woken up and sank to the bottom of the water, Tiger Brother held his breath, sank his head to the bottom of the water, and swung his claws again. This time, without the interference of light refraction, Tiger Brother's claws accurately slapped the fish's head. Snap! With just 1 claw, the fish's head was bloody, and except for the muscle twitching reflexively, there was no movement. Seeing this, Tiger Brother quickly grabbed the fish body, floated to the surface, and swam towards the shore. Finally, the fish was brought ashore. Tiger Brother first put the fish on the boulder under the waterfall, but it felt unstable. He ran to the open space on the side and felt relieved. It was not easy to catch it. Don't jump back into the water. Looking at Tiger Brother who had successfully hunted, Cang Nian nodded with relief. It seems that we still have to put pressure on Tiger Brother, otherwise he won't know how powerful he is. He can reach my swimming skill of evolution 3 times just by brute force, which is really abnormal. Should we snatch the fish that Tiger Brother hunted with great effort, so that he can know what the evil heart of tiger is? Cang Nian thought with some evil taste. However, he was just thinking about it. The child is still young, and going too far will dampen his enthusiasm. And here, to make sure that the fish will not run away, Tiger Brother can't wait to bite it. Ah! After a few seconds, a miserable wail resounded throughout the habitat. Cang Nian turned his head and saw that Tiger Brother was hunched over and trying his best to vomit. Seeing this, Cang Nian's expression became more and more weird. Well, learn to catch fish, but not to eat fish. It's stuck with a thorn. Chapter 65. I also have a territory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding! Kill a prey, kill skill proficiency +1. 100/100. Ding. Congratulations to the host, the killing skill proficiency has reached the full value, and this skill has evolved into massacre. As Cang Nian slapped a fish to death with one claw, a system prompt sounded in his mind. Then, a wave of heat flowed through the limbs and bones, and Cang Nian could feel that all parts of his body were growing slightly stronger. The limbs have become stronger, the claws have become tougher, the teeth have become sharper, and even breathing has become smoother. Finally evolved the killing skills. Such changes make Cang Nian feel relieved. All in all, the skill evolution in the killing skill chain is the most cost-effective. After all, so far, the feedback brought about by evolution can affect the whole body. Only this skill, snap. After a while, Cang Nian shot another big fish to death from the waterfall. Ding. Slaughter a prey, and the slaughter skill proficiency +1. 1/10,000. Then, the system prompt sound came, making Cang Nian's mouth twitch. Sure enough, for skills that have evolved to the 3rd stage, the next evolution will be a qualitative change. It takes 10,000 kills to evolve, which makes Cang Nian a little tired. However, Cang Nian soon adjusted his mentality. You can't reach 1,000 miles without taking small steps. If you want to become stronger, you cannot gain something without hard work. Moreover, just like you can become stronger through exercise, but other people and other animals can't do it yet. Even if the progress bar is horribly long, as long as you work hard and accumulate, you can always evolve. In addition, a fish will fall from this waterfall from time to time, and most of them are quite large, which is very convenient for accumulating proficiency and slaughtering skills. Otherwise, just looking for prey in the jungle will take a lot of time, and the efficiency will be far less than waiting for fish at the waterfall here. Ouch! At this time, the roar of Father Tiger came from under the tall pine tree not far away. Dad Tiger is asking me and Brother Tiger to go with him. After understanding what Tiger Dad meant, Cang Nian was a little suspicious. Tiger Dad has never done this before. However, now that Tiger Dad has called, his skills are currently at a bottleneck and require long-term accumulation, and he will not be able to break through in a while. Idle time is idle. Why not see what Tiger Dad wants you to do? So, Cang Nian quickly ran to Father Tiger, seeing Cang Nian moving so fast on the flat ground. Father Tiger's eyes jumped. Why does this little cub run so fast? I can't beat my 1-month-old child in terms of speed, right? Woo woo woo, I really failed as a father. Hu's father was a little suspicious of Hu Sheng. However, despite the turmoil in his heart, Dad Tiger's face remained calm and he maintained his majesty as a father. After a while, Brother Tiger also came running over. Ouch! Seeing that the tigers had all arrived, Tiger's father stood up and paced back and forth. While pacing, it barked lowly. Because they have arrived in a new habitat, the tiger father is not familiar with it, so I want to take us on a tour of the new territory. while you're making sure there are no other competitors, you can also observe where the food tends to move. By the way, announce your arrival and let other predators who want to break into this place know that there is already an owner here. After understanding what Tiger Dad meant, Cang Nian nodded secretly. Although I have found traces of a tiger living here before, tigers are not the only powerful predators. The brown bear is one of them. Although the tiger father has hunted an evolved adult male brown bear, this does not mean that the tiger father is not afraid of any brown bear. What if there is one bigger and more evolved than that brown bear? In addition, although this place has been poached by poachers, the ecological niche has been vacant for a while for apex predators, and no one knows whether other powerful creatures will occupy this place. In short, it is very necessary to come to a new habitat and patrol the new territory. Ouch! When he heard that he was going to inspect the new territory, Brother Tiger was a little resistant. It's not stupid now. I used to think that migration meant a carefree trip, but in the end, I ended up working tirelessly on the road every day. Now, when patrolling the territory, one has to run a long way when hearing something, which must be very tiring. Don't go. Snap. Ouch. Ding. Tear and scratch once. Tear and scratch skill proficiency +1. 800/10,000. But in the next second, Cang Nian's claws slapped Brother Tiger's butt, causing him to let out a pitiful cry. Hey! For tigers, too large and too small, were walking through the dense forest. As this is the first time to patrol the territory in a new home, naturally the whole family will go into battle, and Tiger Mom is no exception. In a family of 4, only Brother who was very melancholy and not very interested. He had finally caught a fish before, but the first bite he took had a thorn stuck in it, which had a huge psychological impact on the fish as a prey. However, what surprised Cang Nian was that Tiger Brother was stuck and stabbed, so he ran over to help, but it only retched a few times and was fine. Later, Cang Nian saw that Brother who retched several times and vomited out a few drops of liquid that didn't look like saliva. When it fell on the stone, it sizzled and melted into a small pit. After a little thought, Cang Nian knew that this was Tiger's stomach acid. No wonder he has such a huge appetite. He can digest everything he eats. With stomach acid that can corrode even stones, how can his digestion ability not be abnormal? To be honest, my meat-eating skill and digestion skill are almost halfway through the progress bar. Thinking of this, Cang Nian thought of his digestion skill again. How much you digest depends on how much you eat. The brown bear meat before has greatly improved his meat-eating skill and digestion skill. As for fish meat, it is delicious, but the nutritional density is not high. However, on the other hand, this thing is a good thing to brush up the proficiency of meat-eating skill. The nutritional density is not high. It is not easy to feel full when eating. If you eat several kilograms in one breath, it will not take long to digest and you can continue to eat. After patrolling the territory, I will use fish meat to brush up the proficiency of meat-eating skill and digestion skill. Cang Nian is making the next plan in his mind. Oh. At this time, Tiger Dad, who was leading the way in front, growled and asked Cang Nian and Tiger Brother to focus their attention on it. Cang Nian and Tiger Brother raised their heads at the same time. Tiger Dad came to a big tree, facing the trunk of the big tree with his buttocks and raised his tail. Z. After a short eruption, Tiger Dad evenly and fully left urine on the trunk. Although I know that this is to mark the territory, it is equivalent to announcing to the outside world that this is my territory, but no matter how I look at it, I still think it's very devilish. Seeing this scene, Cang Nian's mouth twitched. However, Tiger Brother's originally depressed mood was lifted a lot, and he ran to Tiger Dad, but just when he wanted to learn from Tiger Dad to mark the territory, he remembered that this place had been marked by Tiger Dad. So, Tiger Brother found a sapling less than 2 meters away, stuck out his buttocks and raised his tail, and urinated on the tender trunk. I also have a territory. Brother Tiger thought to himself in amusement. Chapter 66 Brutal Collision. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Patrolling the territory should have been a rather boring job. However, because this is a new territory, seeing large prey groups gather together from time to time will make the tiger family quite happy, and it will not feel boring. After all, the number of prey represents whether the tiger family can eat enough. With sufficient prey, the future life will definitely not be bad. In addition, the prey species here are not single. Various types of deer live in groups, and there are a large number of gathering groups. Perhaps, the previous top predator was captured, and there was no hunting by the top predator for a long time, which made the large herbivores here overproliferate, and the ecology has been somewhat unbalanced. As Cang Nian patrolled the territory, he noticed a lot of information. Among them, the most intuitive is that there are really many large herbivores here. In addition, the density of shrubs and herbs in the dense forest here is far less than that of the previous habitat. Obviously, without the top predator to limit the number of herbivores, those herbivores can reproduce wantonly and eat away at the plants in this area. Animals don't have such complicated ideas as birth control, adequate food, and a safe external environment mean the growth of the population. Cang Nian saw that there were many fawns more than half a meter long following the tribe. Undoubtedly, without the existence of tigers, the survival rate of these large herbivores, even their cubs, is much higher. If this continues, the plants in this area will be eaten up until there is not enough for these herbivores to eat, and they will be forced to migrate to other places. They will not separate part of the tribe to live in other places before the situation is out of control. After all, who would be willing to leave such a habitat without natural enemies? Going to an unknown new place is much more dangerous for herbivores than migrating for carnivores. However, with our family, the herbivores here can be controlled. The tiger father is much larger than other wild male tigers, and the tiger mother is also the largest among female tigers. There is also the tiger brother who eats a very amazing amount, and I am still growing up. When my tiger brother and I grow up, our combined appetites may cause a serious blow to the ecology here. Cang Nian thought to himself. However, he was not too worried. When he grows up, his athletic ability and hunting ability will definitely become much stronger. Go downstream along the river, run farther, and there will definitely be no shortage of food. At this moment, Cang Nian heard the call of the tiger brother from the side. When he heard this sound, not only Cang Nian, but also the tiger father and mother turned their heads to look. I saw that the tiger brother ran to a place several hundred meters away without knowing when. Cang Nian rushed over, but found that the tiger brother was not asking for help. Seeing Cang Nian coming, the tiger brother raised his paw and pointed to the bushes in front. Cang Nian looked over. I saw a dozen small creatures that weighed less than 3 kilograms, shaped like spindles, and had fur like melon seeds, shivering under the bushes. Little wild boars. Seeing these little creatures, Cang Nian asked in confusion. Speaking of which, he had hunted quite a few small animals since migrating from his original habitat to here, but until now, since he opened his eyes, he had never seen a wild boar. Unexpectedly, he saw one here. Just as Cang Nian was thinking, brother who couldn't wait to call out, I've never seen this before. I want to eat. Brother who, you really only remember to eat and not to hurt. Seeing brother who's familiar behavior, Cang Nian was speechless. A fish bone got stuck in your throat not long ago, and you forgot about it. However, wild boars don't get hurt by eating like fish. At this time, Cang Nian called out, want to eat? Then catch it yourself. Such a small wild boar, do you still want me to do it? Cang Nian wanted to raise his claws and hit tiger brother. He really spoiled him. If tiger brother couldn't catch the prey by himself, he could ask him. This little thing that weighed less than 3 kilograms, he still needed him to do it. He has grown so big in vain. After hearing Cang Nian's words, tiger brother's head tilted, and then his eyes lit up. That's right. I can catch such a small thing myself. I could catch fish by myself before. These little things on the ground will definitely not be a problem. Thinking of this, the expression on tiger brother's face became more greedy, and he stepped towards the group of wild boars step by step. Chi! Chi! Seeing a giant like tiger brother walking towards them, the wild boars screamed in fear. The heart-wrenching scream was like a pig being slaughtered. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, Cang Nian suddenly felt the ground shaking, and the shaking became more and more violent. Without thinking, Cang Nian instantly changed from being extremely quiet to extremely moving, so fast that an afterimage appeared, and he knocked tiger brother away with a bang. Boom! There was a huge shock, and Cang Nian heard the tree trunk as thick as the waist of the person next to him, which actually made a crisp sound. Tiger brother was knocked dizzy by Cang Nian, but Cang Nian was not stunned. Turning his head, he saw a wall in front of him, and a huge wild boar, swinging its head and hitting the tree, dizzy, but this guy was thick-skinned and tough enough. After a short while, he adjusted his state. His small scarlet eyes looked at Cang Nian and Hu Di, full of irritability and anger. Then, his short and thick hooves rubbed on the ground. This was aiming and accumulating power. Boom boom boom. With a violent tremor, the huge wild boar charged again, rushing towards Cang Nian and Hu Di. It was like a flesh tank, with the momentum to crush everything. Boom. But just when Hu Di's legs were weak and Cang Nian was pushing Hu Di to escape, a huge shock came. This was not the big wild boar hitting Cang Nian and Hu Di. It was the sound of Hu Dad rushing over and knocking the big wild boar away. But the scary thing was that even if it was knocked away by Hu Dad, the big wild boar did not lose its fighting power, and it didn't even have a little bit of depression. At this time, Cang Nian could really understand how big this wild boar was. Although not as long as Tiger Dad, the wild boar is short and sturdy. Even though its shoulder height is a little shorter than Tiger Dad, Cang Nian estimates that the wild boar in front of him is definitely over 400 kilograms. This is an opponent of the same weight as the big brown bear before. Don't think that the wild boar can't lift its forelimbs like the brown bear, and its attack method is flexible, but the wild boar has practiced 2 attributes and 1 skill to the extreme. 1 attribute is strength. 1 attribute is defense. And the skill that has been practiced to the extreme is the savage collision. In the case of the same size, no creature can take a head-on savage collision from the wild boar without getting hurt. Compared with tigers and brown bears, wild boars are not balanced enough, but they are extreme enough in their own strengths. Chapter 67 There are still experts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The wild boar was really irritable. After being knocked away by Tiger Dad, it stabilized its body and shifted its target of attack to Tiger Dad. However, it was right to be irritable. Its cub was threatened with death, bullied by other animals, and might even be eaten. As an animal with obvious nursing behavior, it was naturally very angry. It didn't have much patience. It only confronted Tiger Dad for 2 seconds, then rubbed its short and thick hooves and rushed forward. Tiger Dad didn't dare to resist the collision of such a big wild boar. He quickly dodged it with his agile posture. At this point, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Boom. The wild boar's savage collision was really powerful. After hitting the tree trunk, a burst of wild fruits fell and branches and leaves flew. If such a force hit Tiger Dad, he would probably be seriously injured. Therefore, Tiger Dad's expression became more serious. He did not dare to underestimate it and kept observing the wild boar's movements. Boom, boom, boom. However, the wild boar did not have much patience. After recovering from the dizziness caused by the collision, it launched another charge. Tiger Dad caught the opponent's attack path in advance, dodged hurriedly, and successfully avoided it again. And this time, Tiger Dad's giant claw flipped and scratched the wild boar's waist. Boom! But when the wild boar hit a tree trunk again, there were no scars on it. Instead, Tiger Dad's claws were covered with traces of blood. Tiger Dad's claws were injured. My goodness, how many times did it roll in the mud to have such a thick layer of mud armor? Cang Nian's eyes were sharp, and he immediately saw the wild boar's waist that was scratched by Tiger Dad's claws. What was scratched was not the skin, but the layers of mud armor. Although people who scold people for being stupid are usually called pigs, but in fact, even if we count humans, there are not many animals that are smarter than pigs. Compared with dogs, which are loyal friends of humans and fixed food of humans, pigs are smarter animals. Wild boars in the wild will roll in the mud, on the one hand to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes. After all, they do not have the dexterous claws of tigers, and they cannot lick their fur. On the other hand, rolling in the mud attached to the hair will not only be cool after drying, but also a very amazing defense. This is not an exaggeration. Although mud armor sounds ridiculous, what kind of defense can mud have? But when the mud is combined with the thick and hard steel hair of the wild boar, it is like cement with several layers of fiber mesh, which is very effective in preventing biting, scratching, and collision. Feeling the pain at the tip of the claw, Tiger Dad knew that he had met a strong enemy. If the layer of mud armor is not removed, it will be difficult for him to effectively kill the wild boar. At this time, the wild boar rushed over again. This time, Tiger Dad still avoided it and raised his claws again, but this time, it no longer used its claws to tear and scratch, but slapped with its tiger paws. Bang! There was a loud noise, and the wild boar was only shaken to a slight angle. However, the dry mud, under such a shock, loosened a lot with the thick and hard steel hair, and the mud on the surface was shattered and fell off. Bang bang bang! The wild boar collided again and again, and Tiger Dad swung his claws and slapped again and again. The wild boar did not realize Tiger Dad's purpose, but only felt that his body seemed to be much lighter. Hiss. Finally, after a struggle, Tiger Dad's repeated slaps had already knocked off more than half of the mud armor on the wild boar, revealing its real fur. Then, Tiger Dad popped out his claws, and immediately left 4 bloody wounds on the rough fur of the wild boar. Ong! This time, the wild boar was in great pain, and it let out a high-pitched cry like a pig being slaughtered. Seeing this, Tiger Dad naturally wanted to take advantage of the victory and chased after the wild boar. Before the wild boar could charge again, he rushed forward and continued to scratch its exposed belly. Boom, boom, boom. But at this moment, a muffled sound that shook the earth came from far away. Hiss, hiss. Cang Nian turned his head and saw that the dense bushes were trampled and flattened, and quickly spread towards this place. No way. Cang Nian's heart skipped a beat, and a bad premonition arose. The next second, a real flesh and blood tank drove into the field of vision of a tiger family. It did not stop, and its speed did not decrease. It rushed straight towards Tiger Dad. Tiger Dad hurriedly dodged, but he had consumed too much energy in dealing with the wild boar before. Tigers are creatures with extremely poor endurance. This time he failed to dodge in time and was rubbed by the giant. Bang! Tiger Dad was knocked out several meters away. His hind legs seemed to be injured when he landed, and he stood up awkwardly. Boom! Then, a loud noise resounded in the dense forest. Crack! Crunch! Bang! Then, something even more terrifying happened. Where the flesh tank stopped, the strong trees as thick as a human waist collapsed with a loud bang. Turtle! What kind of monster is this? Cang Nian swallowed his saliva, extremely horrified. Such power should only be possessed by elephants, rhinos, and hippos on land. Boom! Just as Cang Nian was horrified, the flesh tank turned around. It was a wild boar. The shoulders are taller than Tiger Dad's, the sides are as wide as a wall, and there is a pair of curved and towering yellow fangs. At this time, Cang Nian discovered that the wild boar that Tiger Dad had tried so hard to catch had no fangs. The first one was a female. This one is a male. Cang Nian didn't know how heavy the big guy in front of him was, but the female wild boar, which was originally estimated to be 400 kilograms, looked like a little wife in front of it. At this time, the female wild boar came to the male wild boar and hummed to complain. It's these orange-skinned big cats that are bad for our cubs. Ong! The male wild boar spurted out a breath from his nasal cavity, indicating that he knew it. Then, it rushed towards Tiger Dad. The only one who was a little threatening to it was Tiger Dad. Ong! The male wild boar let out an excited roar and rushed towards Tiger Dad. It is like a tank that is speeding, trampling all obstacles in front of it into dust and crushing them into the ground. Tiger Dad tried to escape with his injured hind legs. Tiger Mom roared at the boar, trying to transfer the hatred to herself and buy time for Tiger Dad to escape. But once the boar has determined the target, it will almost execute it stubbornly until the target is smashed into meat paste. Chirp! Chirp! But at this moment, a small wild boar screamed in fear from the bushes nearby. Boom boom boom. Hearing this sound, the wild boar that was originally accelerating the charge hurriedly braked and turned his head suddenly. I saw that Cang Nian was gently scratching the belly of a small wild boar with his claws, as if he would disembowel it in the next second. Sensing the gazes of the two wild boars, Cang Nian looked at the wild boar head-on and showed his fangs. This is a provocative action. On. Seeing this, the wild boar could no longer bear it and rushed towards Cang Nian. Chapter 68. Come. Kill me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dong dong dong. Cang Nian was extremely calm as he looked at the male wild boar that was running towards him like a tank. Instead of using the little wild boar to threaten the male wild boar, Cang Nian changed from extremely quiet to extremely active in just a few milliseconds. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Cang Nian's figure had avoided the attack path of the wild boar, but the male wild boar did not accelerate at full speed this time. His heavy body was changed in direction by the strong muscles, and it pursued Cang Nian. After all, Cang Nian was just next to the little wild boar. Although the male wild boar was angry, he still had the most basic sense and would not hurt his cub in order to retaliate against Cang Nian, but Cang Nian left the little wild boar, and now the male wild boar had no scruples, and his stubby four hooves flew very fast. Boom! Click! Boom! There was a loud noise, and another tree as thick as a bowl was broken. One can imagine how terrifying the impact was. Ouch! But at this time, Cang Nian jumped onto a tree not far away and howled at the male wild boar that was breaking the tree like a bulldozer. His voice was sarcastic, as if he was mocking the male boar for having so much fat but being unable to do anything about it. Being so irritated by Cang Nian, the male wild boar suddenly became angry, let out a high-pitched cry, and rushed towards him again, but Cang Nian was leisurely walking through the dense forest, running wildly on the ground, or jumping between tree trunks. He didn't look like he was being chased by a boar, but like he was dancing in the jungle, looking at the wild boar that was extremely angry but couldn't even touch a hair of his own. The corners of the old man's mouth raised slightly. Sure enough, you can't be frightened by its huge size. Although its strength is absolutely abnormal, its flexibility is not as good as that of a tiger. That is to say, the tiger father was too exhausted in order to deal with the female wild boar. Otherwise, even if he could not kill this big guy, he would still have the initiative to deal with it. Cang Nian sighed secretly in his heart. He just reacted, why should I be afraid of this male wild boar? Although he only weighs just over 10 kilograms, this male wild boar may be more evolved than the tiger father. He may have weighed more than a ton, which is almost 100 times his own weight, but so what? Fighting is not all about body type. The strength and defense of the male wild boar were far beyond his reach, but at his own speed, even if the male wild boar were 18 blocks away, it wouldn't be able to catch up. And this is compared to running in a straight line. In the jungle, your flexibility will be infinitely magnified. No matter how strong this male wild boar is, if it can't touch him, it's all in vain. As for his physical strength, the feedback brought about by the evolution of his skills time and time again is already very good. The most important thing is that my body is light. This kind of avoidance consumes less energy at all compared to running long distances. The huge size of the male wild boar gives it the confidence to be fearless of apex predators like its father tiger, but it is also a heavy burden. Call. Cang Nian managed to avoid and resolve the male wild boar's attack with only a dozen light leaps. The male wild boar, on the other hand, expended an astonishing amount of energy in these brutal collisions, and being unable to hit it again and again, made it more and more anxious. The heavy breathing indicates that it has exerted all its strength and that its peak physical strength has passed. It needs to rest. Big pigs are afraid of heat, and little pigs are afraid of cold. It was already a scorching heat, and fighting so fiercely, charging more than a dozen times, caused too much heat to accumulate in its body. Wild boars have sweat glands, but they are much fewer than humans, and their heat dissipation effect can be said to be almost non-existent. If it continues to crash recklessly, it is likely to die suddenly due to overheating, heatstroke, and excessive water loss. Ouch! However, Cang Nian was still very relaxed and howled provocatively at the male wild boar. Aren't you going to hit me to death? Why did it wilt so quickly? You can't do this either. Cang Nian even twisted his butt and swung his tail to conduct a mental attack on the male wild boar. How could a male wild boar stand such anger? Without thinking, it took a deep breath, held it in and started charging. But in the end, there won't be any difference. The speeds of both parties are not at the same level, so this kind of avoidance is too easy for Cang Nian. Another blow hit the air. The male wild boar, which was already severely exhausted and had too much heat in his body, breathed even more heavily, as if a bellows was about to burst. Seeing this, Cang Nian became even more aggressive. He simply came to a position only 3 meters in front of the male wild boar and walked leisurely. This is like saying, "I'm standing in front of you, betting that you can't hit me." Such humiliation made the male wild boar lose his mind. He was caught off guard and lowered his head, wanting to stab the old man to death with his fangs. However, since Cang Nian dared to wander in front of it, he naturally had the confidence to avoid it. With just a slight jump, he passed over the male boar's head and stood lightly on the male boar's broad back. Kong kong. This is so thick. He tapped the mud armor on the male boar's back with his paw, and Cang Nian clicked his tongue in amazement. The thick armor formed by the combination of mud and thick, long and hard steel wool made it impossible for even Tiger Dad to cause substantial harm to the wild boar, not to mention himself. Even if this layer of mud armor is removed, it is not an easy task for Tiger Dad. After all, when dealing with the female wild boar before, Tiger Dad had already consumed most of his physical strength by knocking off its mud armor. This male wild boar is larger and stronger, and it is hard to say whether Tiger Dad can execute this tactic. Not to mention, even if the male wild boar does not have mud armor, its skin must be much thicker than that of the female wild boar. Feeling Cang Nian on its back, the male wild boar hissed and then rammed sideways into the tree beside it. It wanted to smash Cang Nian on its back into a pulp. However, it did not realize how flexible Cang Nian was, so such a clumsy method was naturally easily avoided. Perhaps Cang Nian was too small, and he had been away from the male wild boar's back for more than 10 seconds, but the male wild boar did not notice it and was still struggling to hit the tree. As a result, the trees fell one after another, and those who did not know thought that a logging truck had driven in. After going crazy for a while, the male wild boar realized that Cang Nian was not on its back. It wanted to continue attacking, but its breathing was so heavy that it trembled, and its short and thick limbs that supported its huge body were a little unstable. It had reached its limit. A pair of scarlet eyes flashed for a few seconds, and the male wild boar called to the female wild boar. Hearing the call of the male wild boar, the female wild boar ran to the little wild boar. Then, more than a dozen little wild boars followed the female wild boar on their short legs and walked towards the river. The male wild boar first glanced at Tiger Dad, and then at Cang Nian, as if to remember them firmly, and then followed the little wild boar and walked towards the river. It urgently needs to cool down now. Chapter 69 The Stimulated Tiger Dad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Woo! By the time the wild boar family left, the place was already in a mess. At this time, Brother Tiger also knew that he had caused a big trouble, so he came to Father Tiger, whimpering in self-reproach. Father Tiger licked Brother Tiger's furry face and shook his head. It is natural that the tiger wants to eat meat. Today's crisis is because he, as a father, is not strong enough, so he falls into such a desperate situation. Ouch. The tiger mother, on the other hand, rarely comforted the tiger father without blaming herself. That male wild boar was too big and it wasn't the tiger father's fault that he couldn't beat him. Then, the tiger mother looked at Cang Nian again and licked him again and again, although it can be seen that although Cang Nian cannot cause any harm to the male wild boar, he can still deal with it with ease. But when the cub, which was just 1 month old, was allowed to face danger, its mother could only watch and worry from the sidelines. The tiger mother blamed herself very much. Ouch! Cang Nian rubbed the tip of tiger mother's nose to express that it was okay. That male wild boar can't touch me at all. The patrol work in the new territory had to be suspended due to the battle with the wild boar family. Now, Cang Nian's family already knows that they don't know if there are powerful predators here, but there is a family of wild boars that are more terrifying than predators. Fortunately, in this battle, only the tiger father's claws and hind legs were slightly injured. With the physique of a tiger dad evolved creature, he can recover in a day or two. However, even so, Cang Nian has no idea of migrating out of this new habitat. The conditions here are too perfect in all aspects. Although there is a terrifying existence like a male wild boar, even the tiger dad cannot confront it head-on. But just don't provoke them in the future. Wild boars are omnivores and can eat meat as well as grass. As long as your family does not appear to threaten them, they should be able to live in peace. The worst thing is, wait until you grow up and your various skills have evolved to a high level, then you can solve it. Thinking of this, Cang Nian came to the waterfall and started catching fish. Fish meat is not very nutritious, but it does not occupy your stomach. And 1 kilogram of fish meat still adds a layer of proficiency in meat-eating skills and digestion skills in the judgment of one's own system. In this case, the fish meat is the immortal product used to increase the proficiency of these two skills. Skillfully slapping the fish that fell from the waterfall to death and bringing it ashore, Cang Nian quickly used the barbs on his tongue to scrape off large pieces of fish meat. Ding. Eat 1 kilogram of meat, meat-eating skill proficiency +1. 56/100. Ding. Eat 1 kilogram of meat, meat-eating skill proficiency +1. 57 out of 100. Soon, Cang Nian was full, and then he jumped into the water again and swam towards the lower reaches of the river. Ding. Swim 10,000 m, swimming skill proficiency +1. 1/100. After swimming 10 kilometers downstream, a system prompt sounded in Cang Nian's mind, and just when he was about to go ashore and run back, he saw a familiar figure in the distance. It turns out that he was overloaded with exercise during the battle, and his body was overheated and almost went crazy. That's why I left and went to the river to soak in the water to cool down. Cang Nian muttered to himself. What he saw from a distance was the wild boar family he met when he was patrolling the territory before. At this time, a male and a female, plus a dozen little wild boars, were all soaking in a large mud pond by the river, with only their backs and heads exposed. As for the mud pond, it can be seen at a glance that it is not naturally formed. Undoubtedly, the mud pond was dug by 2 large wild boars themselves on the edge of the river bank. Add only a little water and mix the silt and river water thoroughly. This is where their mud armor comes from. Sure enough, evolution will greatly improve the IQ of living things, although wild boars are inherently smart. Directly using existing natural resources and improving them to better meet their own needs is already a sign of high intelligence. Cang Nian sighed secretly. Without disturbing the wild boar family, Cang Nian quickly docked and ran along the open space by the river towards the upstream waterfall without any hindrance. The 30th day after birth, Cang Nian and Tiger Brother are finally full moon. However, animals do not have the concept of a full moon, so today is nothing special. Cang Nian, who was swimming downstream, saw a figure rushing toward him from the shore. It was panting heavily, and its running movements were somewhat deformed, but it was still holding on. Seeing Cang Nian with only a small head emerging from the river, it ran harder and separated from Cang Nian. I was hit, stimulated, and determined to become stronger. Looking at Father Tiger walking away, Cang Nian sighed. That's right, the one who was exercising early in the morning was actually Tiger Dad. Since meeting Tiger's father, Cang Nian hasn't seen him exercise much, even though there was a time when the Tiger father and the Tiger mother took turns watching the Tiger brother because the brown bear had too much meat, while the other one went to exercise to consume his energy. The Tiger father did not think highly of exercise. In the eyes of Tiger Dad, he is already strong enough. Hundreds of kilograms of elk were hunted as soon as it was said to be hunting. The brown bear, which was much taller than me, would be killed at will. Such strength makes Tiger Dad feel that he is invincible except for humans who cannot use common sense to judge. Therefore, Tiger Dad doesn't have much desire to become stronger, but this time, just one sow boar had already exhausted her energy. As for the male wild boar, even if Tiger Dad was in his prime, he had no chance of winning, but Cang Nian, his cub, used his speed to trick the male wild boar and save the predicament at that time. As a father, he should be like a solid and majestic mountain, blocking all dangers that could threaten his children on the other side, but in the end, he needed his own children to save him. This made Tiger Dad feel ashamed, and it made him feel a long-lost sense of crisis in his heart, making him eager to become stronger. He wanted to stand in front of his family and resist all dangers, instead of hiding behind and letting Cang Nian bear it, so, he wanted to exercise. If he could exercise to be as flexible and agile as the cub, he could protect them. Very good, everyone wants to become stronger, and I can't slack off. Seeing that Tiger Dad was working hard, Cang Nian became more motivated. On a full moon day, the sun soon set. Ding. Eat 1 kilogram of meat, meat eating skill proficiency +1. 100/100. Ding. Congratulations to the host, the proficiency of the meat eating skill has reached the maximum value, and the skill has evolved into eating meat. Immediately, Cang Nian felt his teeth become harder and sharper. Finally evolved. Hearing this system prompt, Cang Nian was extremely satisfied. Fish meat has little nutrition, and his digestive ability has been greatly enhanced, so 10 kilometers of swimming downstream and 10 kilometers of running uphill have almost consumed it. Repeatedly repeat this cycle, and you can eat again. Therefore, after more than 10 or 20 cycles, he finally evolved the meat-eating skill. Dong dong dong, but at this moment, Cang Nian felt the ground tremble slightly, and a familiar sound came from far away. Turning around, a huge figure was rolling towards him. Chapter 70. You like to imitate me and bring disaster to your family, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sensing the sudden attack, Cang Nian dodged the attack without a second thought. Good fellow, the smarter you are, the stronger your desire for revenge is. You're here to take revenge for yesterday's feud. Looking at the familiar figure, Cang Nian was shocked. It's that wild boar. It actually found its family's fixed habitat and came to take revenge. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. Hehe. Seeing the stunned expression on Cang Nian's face, the wild boar hummed triumphantly, but then, it didn't continue to waste time on Cang Nian, but rushed towards the tiger father, tiger mother, and tiger brother under the shade of the tree. Ao. Seeing the wild boar rushing over, the tiger mother hurriedly urged the tiger brother to climb up the tree. Hearing the urging of the tiger mother, the tiger brother was not slow either, and he climbed up with a grunt. After the training of Cang Nian and the tiger mother, the tiger brother's tree climbing skills have become very good. He jumped up more than 10 meters in just a few seconds. The tiger mother did not show off. She knew that she was of no help in dealing with the wild boar, so she followed the tiger brother and also jumped up the tree. Ah! The tiger father roared at the wild boar, trying to attract its attention and lead it somewhere else, but the wild boar's purpose was very clear, that is, to deal with the tiger brother. It was a tooth for a tooth. Before, Cang Nian threatened it with the little wild boar, and now it was going to threaten Cang Nian with the tiger brother. Looking at the wild boar rushing towards him, the tiger father also knew that he could not take its brutal charge head-on, so he quickly dodged it. Boom! With a huge shock, the wild boar hit the thick pine tree that was more than 50 meters high. Unlike the previous battle in the dense forest, the wild boar's brutal charge did not knock down the pine tree this time. After all, a diameter of more than 1 meter is not a giant tree that any animal on land can shake alone. Even if an African elephant comes, it is difficult to knock it down. The wild boar took 2 steps back and shook his head quickly to get rid of the dizziness caused by the collision. Although it failed to knock down the pine tree, it still made its branches and leaves tremble a lot. Then, the wild boar retreated more than 10 meters and continued to charge at the pine tree. Boom! There was another huge shock, and the pine tree trembled. It doesn't want to knock this tree down, does it? Looking at this scene, Cang Nian wondered if the wild boar was too confident in his own strength. However, the wild boar was also a non-believer, and continued to impact the pine tree, making it bang, and the wild boar's head was really hard. Even with such a crazy impact, it didn't break its skull. If it were any other animal, its brain would have turned into a paste. The tiger father standing by was also stunned. For a moment, he didn't know whether to fight the wild boar or just wait for it to hit him to death. Ouch! At this moment, Cang Nian suddenly heard a sound from the crown of the pine tree that was not consistent with the vibration of the impact. Ouch! Big, big. A short series of air-breaking sounds came from top to bottom, which shocked Cang Nian. Then, the wild boar cried out in pain. Cang Nian looked closely and saw a puff of dust rising from the wild boar's back. Its thick mud armor seemed to have been hit by something and had dense cracks. Looking again, blood could be seen oozing out from the gaps in the mud armor. The injured wild boar screamed in pain and ran away without looking back. Looking at the wild boar leaving, Cang Nian was confused. What? Is it Tiger Mom and the others? Cang Nian quickly ran to the pine tree and looked up at Tiger Mom, Tiger Brother, and the little Sable on the tree branch, but when he looked at them, Cang Nian saw the same confusion as himself. Obviously, it was not them who did it, and they didn't understand what was going on, so Cang Nian could only come to the place where the wild boar was attacked by an unknown attack just now and observe it carefully. This observation really helped him find a clue. Among the mud armor fragments and bloodstains dropped by the wild boar, there were several plump and smooth pine nuts. Is it the self-protection behavior of this pine tree? Cang Nian suddenly had an idea in his mind and was amazed. He was sure before that this pine tree, which was much taller than other trees, must be an evolved creature. But he didn't expect that this guy could actually attack. Moreover, it was a long-range attack with considerable power, capable of breaking the thick mud armor of the boar. It will only fight back when it is attacked. Our family has been on it and near it for so long, and we have not been attacked. It should still be a relatively friendly existence, so there is no need to worry too much. After thinking it through, Cang Nian relaxed a little. I am afraid that some undiscovered evolved creatures may threaten my family. Although the evolved pine tree can attack, it is not 100% assured, but at least it has not given any response when my family did not show any malice. The most important thing now is the boar, which is powerful and vengeful, and has found our family's fixed residence. If we don't solve it, we will either leave this habitat or be on guard against it at any time. Then, Cang Nian looked in the direction where the boar fled. Then, he roared at the tiger mother, tiger brother, and tiger father on the tree, and chased after the boar. Whoosh! Cang Nian was very fast, and the boar was injured and bleeding before, so the smell of blood on its body was the best guide. Soon, he found the boar, which was still running downstream of the river. Seeing this, Cang Nian did not come out directly, but followed it. In less than half an hour, the boar returned to the mud pond that Cang Nian had seen before. When the female boar saw the boar coming back, she smelled the blood and hurried forward to rub the other party with her nose, showing concern. The boar ran back so far, and now he was still a little scared, panting and groaning. It was not afraid of powerful enemies, but it did not see how the enemy attacked it at all. Such an unknown made it feel scared. Seeing this, Cang Nian no longer hid and walked out of the dense forest beside him. Cang Nian's loud and childish roar made the two big wild boars turn their heads at the same time. A dozen little wild boars were startled and huddled together, whimpering in fear. Seeing Cang Nian, the male wild boar moved his body and protected the little wild boars behind him. Swoosh! But Cang Nian's speed was too fast. Like orange lightning, without turning, he passed directly between its four hooves, and came in front of the little wild boars before they could react. Seeing this, the female wild boar on the side hurriedly arched her nose to drive Cang Nian away. Cang Nian did not hurt the little wild boar, but easily avoided the attack of the female wild boar. The male wild boar also hurriedly drove Cang Nian away, but Cang Nian was too flexible. Cang Nian could leave whenever he wanted. If he wanted to attack the little wild boar, the two big guys could not stop him at all. Hee. If you want to learn from me and bring disaster to your family, then I will make you live in fear all the time. Cang Nian raised the corner of his mouth, revealing his snow-white fangs.